Christmas! Woo! I'm very excited. Welcome to the British Book Guy. I forgot to do an intro there and I just wanted to jump straight into it. I need to welcome you to the video and the channel. This is a very exciting month for me. This is a really big book haul and I'm really excited to present it. It's a lot of books I've really wanted to get for a little while. That I've been meaning to read for ages. Some that I've found more recently but sound really exciting. Let's just jump straight in. So the one book that I did get this month, which wasn't for Christmas, was John Connolly's The Book of Lost Things. I actually ordered this as a birthday present in November, but it didn't come until early December. Somebody recommended this to me when I said I really like Neil Gaiman. They were like, oh, you should read John Connolly's Book of Lost Things. I think that was on Reddit, I'm not 100% sure. So, yeah, I've got money for my birthday, why not just buy any book? And it sounds interesting. Obviously, I did read it up. It does sound very Neil Gaiman-y, it sounds very interesting. There's not a lot more I can add to this because it's, like I said, it was a little bit of an impulse buy, so I haven't really had a lot of research. It does look like a bit of a long book. I'm flicking through it now. Sounds promising though. And I'm sorry I can't say anything more about that. Sounds a bit Coraline-y. Which I haven't read. It's the only thing I need to read. The rest of these books were Christmas presents, and I like Christmas. I got what I expected to get, a lot of Waterstones vouchers and a lot of money, which I just spent on books, because what the hell else am I going to spend it on, eh? Wouldn't be much of a booktuber or a book reader if I didn't spend every single penny I earn on books. What else would I spend it on? Who wants anything but books anyway? The first two books I did actually get as a present from my mum for Christmas were The First 15 Lives of Harry August by Claire North and The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. Both of these books are ones I've been after for a long time, especially The Miniaturist. They both sound very interesting, both British authors, which I quite like because it's been pointed out to me recently. I read a lot of American authors, so you're going to read a bit more things closer to home. So should we do Harry August first? So this is about a boy who dies and he keeps on coming back to life. He has a message for his younger self he has to keep on passing back. I think that's how it works. Just from the blurb and the reviews, it sounded really good. I can't say I'm really excited to read this. I'm excited to read all of them. So I'm not going to say I'm excited to read this. Just assume that that's a given. That's a terrible, terrible summary. I need to fucking learn how to do summaries. The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton is one that I've had my eye on for a while. It's kind of about a doll maker, which sounds kind of sinister, and I'm not 100% sure where the book goes from there. But the premise sounds interesting. It's one I've wanted for a while. I pick it up most of the times I go into the bookstore and have a look at it and decide not to buy it, which is silly of me, but I'm very poor. It sounds like an interesting original concept, nothing I've quite heard of before. Not too sure what to expect going into it, except it's about someone who does make dolls and or puppet theatre. I don't even know. Bloody hell. Like I said, I do want to read more British authors, so I do plan on reading this quite soon, so hopefully it'll be in the wrap-up and I'll have more to say about it then. You'd hope anyway. So now, onto the books I did buy for myself, which I probably shouldn't have because I spent a lot of money. This book is one I bought on Kindle when I had a Kindle phase, and then it broke, so I stopped buying Kindle books and bought real books, and now I don't look back because real books are really better, especially if you want a sexy bookshelf like I am. So I read this on Kindle, then I bought the sequel, and then I realised I had the sequel on the bookshelf, but not the first book, which looked horrible and stupid, so I bought John Dies at the End by David Wong. Really good book, really liked it, it did a lot of things right. It's a really contained book, and it's very tightly written, a lot of things happen, but it all goes in the right direction. I'm quite happy to read it again. It's not a book where some books I put down like, okay, I've read that now, I don't really need to read it again. I'm quite happy to read this again and revisit it, and of course I've got this book is full of spiders over on my other bookshelf. And because it's been a long time since I read this, I had to buy this to remind myself what happened in it to read the sequel, so that's mostly the reason I bought it. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. So this was, again, something that I found on Reddit, which if you're not on Reddit, is a really good way of discovering books. You know, it's how I found most of my books. So, well, it's how I find most of my books now recently. Also from you adding me on Goodreads so I can steal every single book that you've read for myself. Add me on Goodreads. Again, this is a book that was kind of touted as being a bit Neil Gaiman-y. It is about a circus that appears only at night, and that is as much as I know about it. If literally you see the line, a circus that appears at night, and you don't care about that, then there's something wrong with you and not me for just being excited by a circus appears at night. I mean, literally that is pretty much what it says in the blurb. Let me read it to you. The circus arrives without warning. No announcements precede it. It is simply there, when yesterday it was not. Done. What more do you need? Buying it. So I only discovered this quite recently and went out and bought it. One of the biggest gaps in my reading, other than Hemingway and Faulkner, is Murakami. Or Murakami. Haruki Murakami. There you go. That was that. Everyone said Norwegian Wood was his best book, and I flipped it open and I read it, and I've looked at some of his other stuff, and this one does seem like it would be the most interesting to read. I didn't just buy the books. I'm like, I need to read Murakami. I don't care if I like it or not. It's a whole, and I need to read it. I looked into him. He sounded like the plot sounds interesting. Nice romantic tale. I don't read a lot of them, but I do like when I read them. Also, it's really nice to read a book set outside of a culture that I normally read. I do read a lot of American and English books. That's pretty much only what I read. A few Swedish books here and there. I've read like 3 Swedish books. Not a few Swedish books here and there. Really nice to read about a different culture, a different setting. Very excited to read this one. One I've had my eye on for a while, but I've put off buying because I've been a bit unsure of it, and then just, of course I know I'm going to like it, so I just bit the bullet, added it to the pile. Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian. Because I said I don't read enough books about America. I've read The Road, and I was very mixed about The Road, but everybody said that this is his masterpiece. A lot of people also said The Road is his masterpiece, but this had a setting that I couldn't refuse to read. I opened up the book and I couldn't put it down, so I had to buy it. Really interesting opening. It does look like a bit of a big book. Probably took me a little while to get through. It's not a setting I've been to. Something that I probably would be quite interested to read, and so yeah. I'm not sure what else to add to this. There's not a lot I can say about it until I read it, because Cormac McCarthy is a really good writer, but I kind of have issue with some of his writing sometimes, or at least I did in The Road. And I'm going on this based on premise and the opening page or two alone, so I'll see how it is with this. I'm a little bit unsure about this. Just maybe not the word that I mean, but I bought it and I am excited to read it, but I'm going to go into this not expecting to be as excited coming out of it as I would with other books like The Night Circus or The Book of Lost Things. At the beginning of the year, last year, bloody hell, it's 2016, I read a book, really liked it, and then in 2015 in January I really wanted to get a literary tattoo, so I went out and I got Kurt Vonnegut's So It Goes from Slaughterhouse-5 on my arm. And because I loved Slaughterhouse-5 so much, I went out and got Breakfast of Champions. Everybody said that this is, again, better than Slaughterhouse-5. Well worth a read. If you even like Slaughterhouse-5, then you'll love this. I've gone on a lot of recommendations because I'm very bad at making up my own mind, and I like to listen to other people and do exactly what they tell me. I like to think that's not a character flaw. Opened this up, absolutely read it, went straight back into his writing style that I loved from Slaughterhouse-5. He writes so well, and it's so humorous, and it's so light-hearted and great. I absolutely loved it, so again, when I had the money, I went out and got this again. So let me read from this page. This is from the introduction. To give an idea of the maturity of my illustrations for this book, here is my picture of an asshole. Sorry if that's not in focus. Maybe we have about the same level of maturity, Vonnegut and I, and we just like drawings of assholes. This was a book that I found about from a TV show. Might not have aired in America, but it did air in England. I think it was quite popular in England, and I picked it up and I read the blurb and it sounded really interesting. And I opened it up and I started reading it, and then I think I started reading it for about half an hour, so I was just standing in the bookshop just reading it, which I don't mind doing, but for half an hour in one book kind of feels like taking the piss. You're just going to finish the whole book and then put it back on the shelf and leave. That was Jonathan Strange and Mr. Dropped it. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. Really interesting premise. I did see a bit of a TV show because I like to read things before I watch them. I haven't watched it yet, but the snippets I saw were very good. The blurbs really sold it to me. Obviously, I read it quite a bit, and it sounded really interesting, and it was a push to read more British authors or authoresses. One that I'm very excited to read, but because I don't willy-nilly go into really long books. And this is a really long book, so it might take me a little while to get to this one. Might be another case of Catch-22 where I'll just sit on my shelf until I get bored of looking at it and having not reading it, so I'll just finally get to. But It does sound promising. It sounds like nothing I've ever read before, nothing I've ever heard before, and that is a real big kind of draw for me. I'm very looking forward to read this, and I hope I don't put it off for too long because I do want to get through it. Yeah, exciting. Because me just waving a book and going, yeah, exciting, sells it really well. So that was my exciting book haul for December and Christmas. I really like Christmas. I'm really fond of Christmas. As always, let me know what you think. If you've read any of the books and you can recommend them downstairs, do so. If you hated any of the books, even so, let me know so I can be prepared, I suppose. Or just want to say anything about the channel, got anything to say, let me know downstairs. That would be fantastic. I like opening up YouTube and be like, oh look, comments, yay, stuff to do. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you liked this episode of British Book Guy. I hope this video wasn't too long for you. If it is long, then that's why I split up the wrap up and the book haul for this month. And I'll probably do it from now on. Hope you liked this video. Leave a like if you did, and I will see you next video.